Missy Hyatt. She did a pair of interviews recently on the Wrestling Shoot Interviews YouTube channel and with Cafe de Rene with Rene Dupree. And in both interviews, she spoke about her time. This was a very brief tenure she had at the World Wrestling Federation in early 1987. And if you remember at this time, this was when Roddy Piper was wrapping up at WrestleMania 3. He was going to be dedicating his career to acting at that time and was going to be doing the send-off with Adrian Adonis. So there was this gap for a new interview segment. And she got the call from Vince McMahon, and she, at the time, was engaged to Eddie Gilbert, and they both flew to New York to meet with Vince McMahon. And quickly, Eddie Gilbert realized that he wasn't going to have much of a spot here. This was more for Missy, and they were going to try her out with her own interview segment called Missy's Manor. Now, these never made it to television, but you can see them online. They were taped, and you can see the segments. And Missy Hyatt has always talked about, like, these were terrible. Like, she was not a very good babyface in this role. They were just segments that did not work, but they tried them at 3 of the tapings. They did 2 in March and then another about a month later in April, and then they kind of pulled the plug on them. Well, in this story, in recounting it, she mentions the fact that while in Las Vegas, which would have been the site of the very first taping that she was part of, doing one of these segments, she stated that she went out with this large group, including Vince McMahon, for dinner. And there were others there like Dick Ebersol and Gene Okerlund. And she said that she had to push Vince McMahon out of her hotel room because he was trying to put his tongue down my throat, and stated that afterward, she was offered a role after that where she was going to be a featurette, which, if you remember at that time, these were almost like not quite ring card girls, but the closest equivalent in the WWF, where these were these women in their uniforms and they just take the guys' props and ring jackets to the back. And she wasn't really into that idea of a lesser role and ultimately didn't go there. But of note is that she stated that when the Janelle Grant lawsuit came out, she did reach out to Grant's legal team and said that she would be willing to be a witness just to back up like her own personal allegation against Vince McMahon and the fact that he, tried to come on to her. So she stated she was not surprised by any of these allegations, but she had never spoken about this before. She has spoken about the circumstances of like Missy's Manor and this dinner she was taken out to, but never the allegation against Vince. So it's another allegation. And in terms of the timeline, this would only have been about 8 months after the alleged rape that Rita Chatterton alleged in the prior July, which she has, at least her case, she has settled with Vince McMahon and will very likely never be speaking about that. But it's another story, and I think everyone takes all of these allegations seriously and are believable to people as they continue to add up. And it seems as ones that are completely believable stories when you hear them coming out.